please join in the singing of our national anthem. Representing the three-time Stanley Cup champion New Jersey Devils, Arlette.
I feel like I'm at a game. Oh my gosh. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Happy Devils Thursday! No, it's not. Two-game losing streak. Guys, this is the Let's Go Devils podcast, Season 1, Episode 19. It's so bad that we're on a two-game losing streak, and I actually did the intro right for a change. That tells you how bad and of an opposite kind of, I don't know. But I'm just going to send the show off to Shorts Guy and a very sick Beer Baron. I may have to be the ghost of Sam Wu today. I was not. Sam Wu. Here I am right now.
There you are, Sam.
If three's a crowd, so actually, you know what? I just turned off my audio by accident. Hold on a sec. There you go. All right. I am the ghost of Sam Wu. See, we're going to be back on winning on Saturday because I figured it out how to screw up. Anyway.
Oh, man. Brutal tonight.
Yeah, man. Beer Baron, I'm when you showed up, I was surprised to see you, to be honest.
Dude, I got it through. Pun intended.
Oh my God. Everything looked great, and then the second period started. Pretty proper for tonight's game, that's for sure.
Yeah.
The Devils looked good.
The second period started out great. Second period started out great. Nason got that goal, and it was like you just felt like they were, they had everything under control, and then the proverbial wheels fell off, and it was just, it was a nightmare. It was one of those games that you're like, they scored that goal to make it 2-1, and you kind of got that like uh-oh feeling, and then they tied it up, and you got that like OS feeling, and that was it. And then they scored that third goal, and you're just like, come on. Like, we just go on a 4-game winning streak, and now we're going to follow it up by a 2-game losing streak.
Yeah, well, going into Eliash night against a rival, which is its own. I've got my own issue with that, but definitely the story of tonight was Stalock. Unfortunately, the story of the night was Stalock, and I want to get your opinion on this when I'm in a moment. But here the Wild are playing the Devils and the Rangers back to back, and they decide to put the backup against the Devils, who are much better than the Rangers at this point, and then they'll go back to their starter tomorrow. I don't know. I always felt, and I don't know. First, maybe I'm wrong, but I always felt like if the team decided to put their backup in against you, it was, I don't want to say it was an insult, but I don't know. It always, it's kind of like they're not taking you as seriously as their next opponent. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I agree. I always thought that, and it seems to happen a lot to the Devils this year. And the only problem is the Devils find a way to make these guys look like they're, starting goalies out there, and they make them look good. And we run into these teams where it's like they're giving us the opportunity to win. They give us 3 power plays in the first period, and they, the Devils, they cashed in on one. And Hall continuing to bolster up his numbers and also, put his name in a conversation for MVP. But it's just like
his goal was beautiful.
Oh, it was. And it's crazy though, but they make these backup goalies look good.
Yeah. And we 40 shots on goal. I think it was 18-6 in the first period. Something like that. Mm-hmm. We had a lot of wide and high shots too. A lot of shots went high and wide from the start of the game all the way through. There must not have been much room to shoot. The shooting lanes must have been just so clogged up. That's why they were all going so wide. Either that, or maybe they're seeing corners that they're trying to pick and they're just not hitting them. Hall picked that corner, ridiculous. Was that
he's on another planet right now?
Oh, 20 games in a row. 20 games. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
But I know that second was the first or second goal that went off Moore. It was
the first one went off of Moore.
Yeah.
And then the second one, Severson was like right there, and it basically went off of him too. Or was it the third one? I don't know. I guess it seems like we had 2 goals go in off of our defenseman, or they were in a position where
they should have made the stop.
Yeah, just dumb luck. I know.
That one with Moore, the one that went off Moore was just complete dumb luck, and it's like, oh, come on. I was really hoping that Eddie Lack would have another a follow-up game like he did in Tampa Bay, but the situation was turned as far as goaltending was concerned. 40 shots on goal to 25. That's what just about 2-1.
Yeah.
We should have. We definitely should have had many more goals. 3 power plays, and the first one that Minnesota scored was right on the back end of a power play. Like as soon as their power play ended.
After, yeah.
So they had all the momentum. Big momentum shifts in tonight's game. It was, a lot of, the Devils would have strong play, and then the Wild would have strong play. It's frustrating.
It is. And it's, it's kind of like you see a team put up 40 shots. How many of those shots were, quality shots, or how many of those shots were just point blank right into the chest, or, where there's no traffic in front, or there is nothing going on. So that number can sometimes be misleading, where you see like a team put up like 40 shots and it's like, well, they have like 4 or 5 goals to show for it because they have had, a lot of scoring chances, or they've had a lot of people in front and they've had a lot of traffic and blah, blah, blah. So looking at the game tonight, it was like, yeah, they had a lot of shots in goal, but, more than half of them were, pretty point blank. And there wasn't a lot of like really big opportunity. He sure had a shot that, the goalie made off the cuff of his glove, and just kind of barely got a piece of it. And it, that puck is a half an inch over, and he scores a goal. So it was just one of those games. And that seems like in that 4-game losing streak that they had before, it was the same thing. It was like all this like dumb luck. And then against Columbus in the last game, like Kincaid has to make that save on that second goal. Like it's just these stupid little mistakes that cost us games.
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, no,
I have something to say about that. Championship teams find a way when their luck is not on their side. Woo!
No, That's a very that's a very good point from beyond the grave.
That's a solid point, Sam. And you're right. You got to win those games. The champions win the games they're not supposed to win. Or the games that they're having trouble with. Sam's right, 100%. They find a way to win those games. It's with everything coming down to the business end of the season, we got to start winning these games. These are not the only plus side to this is we didn't give points to an Eastern Conference team.
Mm-hmm.
Only plus side to this.
Yep.
However, with that being said, still, it's we need these 2 points. Even 1 point tonight, I would have taken. Looking at the standings now, we're still in the wild card spot, but we can't. We need them. We need these wins.
Mm-hmm.
We're now 4 points out of third place. That's would have been only 2 had we won tonight. With the Islanders, okay, so we've got some space. We've got point space because Columbus has 65 points. Somehow they're after just dismantling us multiple times in a row. Which you were a little bitter after the game on got that text message from you. You were just so done with the Columbus Blue Jackets.
I am done with them. It doesn't make any sense to me how they cannot beat Columbus this year. They beat them once in Columbus.
Yeah, the once.
And then
the first time. That was it.
And that was it. And then it's like the curse of John Tortorella. They own them this year. And that last game, like I said, I'm watching that game and they're not playing bad. They're not playing that bad. And then Hall has that goal to tie it up, and you think that everything's going to start to change and everything's going to shift. And Kincaid lets up that goal with top of the circle, no one in front. It's that stuff kills me. You watch it and you're just you get so deflated because you're it felt like the momentum was swinging the Devils' way, and then a goal like that, and you're like, come on, just make one effing save. Just come on.
Yeah, those are the saves you have to make, and that's why Kincaid's not a full out starter. He's not making those saves to win you games. He's a great backup. We're definitely missing Corey Snyder, who was on the ice this week, which is a huge positive. We definitely need him back, and you're hoping that maybe, on the this injury, maybe an unintended positive of this injury is once he's back and he's fit, he'll be rested.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not going to need much rest going down the stretch as long as he can come back strong and get fit real quick and be in game shape, ready to go.
Don't get us in trouble with that.
All right, we have to work on these intros a little bit better for next week. Yes, this is our injury report. Brought to you by no one yet. But yeah, Snyder. I hear you in the back there, Sam. Yeah, we need Snyder back. That's the bottom line. His prognosis, I think, is still a week or so like that. I wasn't able to look it up today, but we need him back. That's it. So I guess that's our injury report. Aside from, wait, do bruised and injured egos and deflated confidence count on the injury report or no? Because that's all there after tonight.
They should. They should. How do you go up 2-0 and just let it slip away like that? But I mean, there's two sides to this coin. You could be negative about it and say, oh, they're blowing these chances and stuff like that. And they had a really good chance tonight to win. But you could look at it like this too. They've kept their head afloat with two backup goalies. You know what I mean? You don't have your starter. That's a huge difference in play. I think, like you said, if Corey can come back and he's rested and he's good to go, and can carry us through the stretch run, like towards the end of the season, they have a chance of doing some damage, and they have some chance of making the playoffs and actually getting through that first round. But it depends on how he is when he gets back.
Yeah, it's going to take him some time, and I think we haven't seen the end of Kincaid or Lack. They're going to probably have to work Corey in. I mean, unless he comes in and he's fit and ready to go, they're going to have to work him back into the fold. It's tough. I came back from an injury when I was playing, and it takes a little while to get that game speed back and get that timing back. But, these guys are also professionals, and this is their job. So it may be a little different at this level, but I still got to assume that there's going to be some adjustment period from him being out so long. It may be every other game at first is a possibility instead of throwing him out there for, 4 or 5 in a row. So we're just going to have to see when he comes back what they give him and what his workload's going to be. Here's hoping that he's, healthy and ready to go. I just, I hope he can jump back in and just be like he never left.
You know what? It would have been fun. It would have been fun to have like both these Lack and Kincaid like light it up and actually like, that the last week that the games that they won, the nice 4 games that they won in a row, both of them played really well, right? So
yeah,
it'd be nice if they carried that through, and if over the last like 10 games they were both really letting 1 goal, 2 goal games, stuff like that, because coming up to trade deadline, all of a sudden now you have a commodity that you could possibly flip for, a draft pick or something like that. So, I mean, that's something else to think about. The trade deadline's knocking on the door. It's Monday, and
it is Monday.
You wonder if the Devils are even going to do anything. And at this point, it's like, do you risk pushing your chips in and trying to mortgage a little bit of that future and try to bring somebody in to maybe solidify your back line, the blue line, or you bring in like an Evander Kane from Buffalo and try to get more scoring help? Or do you just say, you know what, we're going to stay pat, maybe, send Stafford or some of those guys out to get a couple draft picks back? But I don't know. It's going to be interesting what they do on Monday, if anything.
Yeah. I don't really know if it's going to be scoring. It would be more so bringing in, I would think, someone for the back line. But then we've argued this point the whole time. Like, who do we send out? Who's the guy? I mean, we obviously know from earlier in the season, anyone can be traded. Watching Henrique get traded was a shock to everyone. But I would assume it would be someone to shore up the blue line. It's just a matter of what the Devils are willing to part with, if they're willing to part with anything. We don't see these guys every day in practice. There may be something that they have there that they're looking at like, I don't want to part with this just for a flash in the pan. Let's make the playoffs this year and see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's also the, there's always rumors floating around and all these websites that have like rumors on it and stuff like that. There was a rumor that the Devils might be targeting Max Domi, Ty Domi coming out of retirement.
Yeah, right.
Thanks, Dan. But they might be trying to get him out of Arizona, or they might try to get somebody else. So maybe something smaller. But like you said, who are they going to ship out to get one of those little pieces? And then it's like, you like the chemistry that they have. You got to think Gibbons is probably around the corner to coming back. Do they, if they don't ship anybody out, if they don't make any kind of significant trade, do they maybe bring in, one of the guys, Spears or Bastain or McLeod from the AHL and try to give them a shot? I know they brought up Quenneville and that didn't really work out, but they only gave him
no, it didn't.
2 games to try to play.
Yeah, and I'm really at a loss for who we'd send out. Only because you don't want to mess with a young group of a chemistry that's doing very well right now. I'm at a loss of figuring out who they would even consider sending out to bring in for the back line. I mean, unless someone wants to take Andy Green, trade him for, I don't know what we would trade him for, but
some of I gotta say, Lovejoy's play hasn't been terrible. He's actually been pretty good. Green hasn't been horrible. It's just, it's like you can't really pinpoint it on one person. And I know all the haters are going to be like Sammy Vatanen. Dude, since the trade,
man, I'm tired of that. I'm tired of that.
Yeah, and here's a fact for all the people that hate on Sammy Vatanen. Since the trade, he now leads the Devils, all Devils defensemen in points and in ice time on ice. So you can't tell me that the trade didn't work out. The dude has been putting up numbers, and recently has been, after he got comfortable and got acclimated to the system, has been really contributing a lot. So, I mean, I don't know. It's sad to say, because you want to think maybe like they could move, I don't know, maybe John Quenneville in a pick or something like that, or maybe somebody that they have in the farm system that they don't feel high on. Maybe somebody, and I hate to say this, but maybe even Bratt, who hasn't really been producing lately. So, I don't know.
It's, for everyone that hates on Vatanen, comparing a defenseman to a forward, it's like apples and oranges. The flashy stuff is what the forward does. Henrique's going to score goals, and that's going to be on the highlight reel, but it's going to be like I said, the time on ice, the assists, and all the small things that don't really get all of the big highlight reel notoriety that, it's so hard to compare the two. And all of the complaints from that trade, they got old real quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, Henrique has like 6 game-winning goals since he went over there, and it's like, yeah, that's great. I mean, he's also playing with some top-end talent. Ryan Getzlaf has still got it. If you watch that goal that he had, I think it was last night, where he basically played the puck to himself, is amazing. Like, from his own zone, flipped the puck up in the air, and then just skated under it, grabbed the puck, and went around the goalie and just made a sick play. It was pretty crazy. But all that aside, I don't know if they're going to do anything during the trade deadline. There's going to be a fire sale in that dumpster across the city or across the Hudson. So they're going to be shipping off things. I know hey, we started this trend, by the way.
We did, and the team we love stole it.
Yeah. That's okay.
I'm looking at the stand.
Imitation is the best form of flattery.
It is. It really is. Looking at the standings, speaking of that dumpster fire, they're not even anywhere near the bottom of the league. They're not even near the lowest 5. They're close, but this whole trying to tank for the rest of the season, it's going to bite them. There's no way that they're going to eclipse Arizona as the worst team in the league.
No. Yeah, but with the lottery, you never know now.
Well, yeah. I just, you know what? I would love it if they were the worst in the league and then lost the lottery.
Oh, you know what's so funny? Yeah, that would be great. It's kind of like Buffalo's like, yeah, we know how that feels.
Yeah.
And Colorado too. I was thinking about this the other day. I was listening to the radio and they were talking on like the 5 seconds that you hear any kind of hockey talk. And Jimmy Vesey's name came up. And I was like, do you think he regrets going to New York and not going to New Jersey? All things considering, like the trajectories of the two teams right now, like where the Devils are starting to kind of ascend back into a playoff position and starting to rebuild and do things the right way. And you see the Rangers are on that back end where they're starting to, they have too many veterans that are getting too old, and Hank is at the back end of his career. And
it was the flash and the glitz of the big city.
Yeah.
That's what
and then
was.
having Liam
Neeson.
You heard about that, right? He like sent this video to
No.
VC and was like, yeah, I swear to God. He sent him a video that was like, I have a special set of skills and blah, blah, blah. And I play the same guy in every movie and blah, blah, blah. And come to the Rangers because I like them. The only fan that they have that is worth looking at is Margot Robbie. That's about it.
Yeah. Well, and she's probably not even a real fan anyway.
Yeah.
You know,
Anyways.
Anyway, enough of that blue team. They're so far behind us. They're definitely not going to make the playoffs. With all hope. Now that I said that, watch they're going to go on a streak. I hope they don't. It'll be interesting. The trade deadline will be interesting. It's always real interesting to see who moves what, and you can tell who's really jockeying for some kind of playoff position. You know, and I'm with you. I don't know what I don't know what we're gonna do. I really don't.
Well, you got to think about it like this: Johansson's coming back from his concussion soon, I assume, right? You don't really hear much about it. I don't really hear much about it. So you would assume that he's coming back. So that's like, you're getting a quasi top 6 forward back into your lineup. I don't know. You have teams out there that are, up against the ceiling, up against the cap ceiling, that are not in a good position or a playoff position, that are going to be looking to get rid of some stuff. Like, Chicago, for example. Chicago's not really having a good season, and they have a lot of big contracts that they wouldn't mind moving. And, they've got some talent that they could send around, and some defensemen that I would be happy to have. So it'll be interesting. It'll be, this. I always said the trade deadline is like the best. The NHL trade deadline is the best trade deadline in any sport. Period, hands down. Period. Like the NFL had some action this year. This is the first time ever. The NHL, there's always something going on. In that last day, the deadline day, there is just move after move, and it's like big names moving across. Like it's not just these little rinky-dink moves of like, a 4th round pick for Chalmerson or something like that. It's like these big
those
names
moves are out
back
there.
And forth.
Those moves are out there, but you're right.
Yeah.
It seems to be like it means the most out of the 4 major sports. This for trade deadline day, and it's always at that perfect time where you got about a month and a half left in the season. You've got teams that are just so close to being in or out, and they're all trying to make that move to get in. Obviously everyone wants into the playoffs, but yeah, no, I agree. It's a real pivotal day, and it's always just fun to watch, see who lands where and see who you get.
Hey, you might get a Cam Jansen for Bryce Salvador trade, which still to this day blows my mind how Lou Lamoriello was able to pull that off.
He was a St. Louis kid going home. They're bringing home the St. Louis kid. It's got to be what it was.
You sent out a 4th liner for like a solid defenseman, like who became our captain. Like that was one of those trades where you're like, I sat back in my chair and just applauded. I was like, this is incredible. Like I don't know what he said to St. Louis to pull this off, but that was insane.
You knew there was just Lou must have dirt on everyone in order to pull these trades off. Like that's just,
oh my God.
He was able to pull just nothing out of something out of nothing all the time.
And then you'll get the sales. You'll get the detractors that are, will also tell you like, oh, well, he let, this one walk away and that one walk away and Parise walk away and Gomez walk away and, blah, 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 blah. Hey, they still won 3 cups when he was there. So
yeah,
he was obviously doing something. But like Lou, Ray Shero, very tight-lipped. You know what I mean? So, and Ray has been pretty magical himself. Getting some.
He has, we got to give him that.
Yeah, and he always makes these nice little subtle moves that you don't think about, sending Kyle Quincy out and getting a 2nd round pick and things like that. Yeah,
and then another one like out of nowhere coming up with Eddie Lack. He's not a starter, but he's a great backup. Like all of a sudden that was out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I agree.
By the way, I saw today that Scott Wedgwood got traded from Arizona to the LA Kings.
Yeah, I saw that too. That's
Wedgewall's now
is now a King. Yeah, he's now in Hollywood, and he didn't even get traded into the playoffs. He got traded right there. LA's got 71 points. So 1 point on that wild card spot. So at least he's got a better chance of making the playoffs now than he did with Arizona.
I know.
You got to
right?
imagine that. You got to think that Arizona would possibly try to be selling off something too with what they've got.
Yeah, they
They're
have
a
a lot of young
disaster.
talent, but there's just and Ekman Larson. He would be a great piece to add, but then how much would you have to give up to get him? It's the same thing with like Ottawa. Ottawa's, they already sent off Phaneuf, and they're already, there's talks about Bassard being on the trading block, and they're willing to move certain pieces. There's a lot of talk about Carlson actually being on the move. How much would you actually be able to? How much would you have to give up? And we said this last week to get Carlson. You'd have to give up like 2 firsts and like 3 prospects. It would have to be a monster deal, and someone's going to do it.
Someone's definitely going to do it. Someone's going to be desperate enough to do it. I would love to know what the Devils have in their pocket as far as picks are concerned.
They can send the crazies over.
Away.
You can send Ray over to Ottawa. Just make sure that we send some hamburgers.
Oh man. So we're gonna have to pay attention to trade deadline day on Monday and see what happens.
Yep.
Maybe give a short recap. What's the timeline on this? Is it 6 p.m. on deadline day?
3 p.m. I believe.
3?
I think it's always 3.
Okay.
Yeah. It's funny too. Is it going to be like a quiet day? Drew Stafford for a 4th round pick, or send out or send out some lesser kind of deal like that, or is it going to be like a Kovalchuk day? Where you're at. where you look at your phone and you just get your jaw drops.
You're like, what is this? Yeah, that was insane. That was definitely crazy.
Only to screw us a couple years later. But what are you gonna do?
You know what though, and I said this before. I would take what he did over what Parisi did, who still got booed today, by the way, during the ceremonial face-off at the beginning of the game, got booed. And not for nothing, Kovalchuk still has it. If you watch the Olympics,
oh yeah,
he's playing like a man on fire. So,
well, I'd like to comment here. This is the ghost of Sam Wu. The problem I had with Parisi was that he took too much time to figure out where he wanted to be. And by that time, everybody was signed at free agency. And Kovalchuk, let's be honest, Team Russia is playing against, I don't know, B-level, C-level type players. Anyway.
Yeah, and they have Datsuk and Kovalchuk. The sad thing is you got to be like, I was thinking, this is another like one of those random thoughts. I was sitting around, I'm like, Alex Ovechkin, that poor man is probably watching Team Russia and just crying at night because of.
I don't think he was watching it. There was some interview where they asked him if he was watching Olympics, and he was like, "No."
He said no. Yeah, he said no, and he said thank Bettman.
Yeah, he threw some daggers at Bettman, which is great. But you know what also sucks is Hischier would have been on the Swiss team. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt in my mind about that. So I really hope it was fun to see lesser knowns playing on the team.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty cool to see, and it kind of had that underdog hope. And the U.S. men came close. It was just they couldn't convert in that shootout. What they would have done past that, if they got into the medal round, who knows? But I kind of like the fact that it was the lesser known guys that were there, that were, trying, not to say the NHL guys wouldn't have tried, but I don't know. There was something about it, which is a young crew of guys, a bunch of unknowns. You kind of hope that had that feel of 1980, but it obviously did not. I don't know. I was okay with it. The women, on the other hand,
the women killing it.
Wow,
killing it.
Wow,
that shootout goal. Dude, that looked like a video game move. That was First of all, U.S. Canada redemption from 4 years ago, where U.S. was up 2 goals. Loses the lead late and then loses the game in overtime.
Missed an empty net at the end of that game too, which set all that up, which is like the heartbreaker of all heartbreakers. It 3 inches either way or 3 inches another way, and it's the game's over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy. Like I was so like I follow a lot of the U.S. women on Instagram, and I just so happy and so proud of them, and just like so happy. It's like one of those things that doesn't really get covered and talked a lot about on our local radio stations, but they talked about it a lot this morning as I was driving into work, and it was just like it's like it feels awesome, like the men's team, it was like you said, it's cool to see these no-name guys come in. But the Russian team just kind of like put a damper on how it felt this game across the board. It just felt uneven. You know what I mean? Like it feels like you have guys like Kovalchuk and Datsuk going against guys like like you said, a couple B-liners and stuff like that. It just doesn't feel right. But the women's side, it's like the elite against the elite, and it was that gold medal game was a grind them out game, and it was an awesome game to watch. And
I wish it wasn't so late. I would have stayed up and watched it. I just couldn't do that many nights in a row that late, because I got home from hockey late on Tuesday, and the men's game was on, and there wasn't much left, so I watched that. I just couldn't do another 2:30 a.m. night. It was just not going to work.
I know.
I really wish I could have.
6 in the morning.
Yeah, right. I really wish I could have watched it, but I'm happy they won. That's another gold medal. And I was watching today. I couldn't hear the sound on because it was at the local gym, but they were making the there was something about that Canadian player who had the silver medal put on her neck, and then she immediately took it off. I really wish I could have heard what they were saying, but it was some argument. I don't blame her for taking off. It's a silver Olympic medal, but you lose to get
first loser. Yeah, but that's also like that kid on, what was it, the Swedish team in the World Juniors that they won silver, and he took it off and threw it in the crowd.
Threw it into the crowd, yeah.
And everybody's like up in arms about it, and but at the same time, it's like, you know what? I've been on teams where you've gotten second place, and you're in a hot, you're in a heated battle for a championship, and you come up just a little short. I was coaching a team that we lost, in overtime with less than a minute left, and we were controlling the play, and they came out, came down the other end and just got a lucky play. My goalie made a nice save, but kicked it out, and this kid was just the right spot, right time, put it home, and it broke my heart. Like it was heart-wrenching, and you're out there and you're getting a second place trophy, and you're like, I'm going to throw this thing right into the garbage.
No,
like
hold on. I got to see if I read this wrong. There was just Grabner was just traded. Devils acquire Grabner from the Rangers.
Get out of here.
I just got this alert now. Devils acquired Mike.
We made a trade with the Rangers.
Yeah, I don't know how much I like that. Yeah, we got Grabner in exchange for a second-round pick and defenseman Igor, and I'm going to screw this name up, but Rykov.
Hey, wow. Grabner's a hell of a player, man.
Wow.
If that's true.
It just got posted 2 minutes ago. Wow, yeah, we're gonna have to look into that. If we get that, wow. Speaking of trades, hey, we have an answer.
Look at that.
The Devils are gonna do
Rangers
something.
Devil trade would be unprecedented. Literally, no trades ever between the clubs. This is from Andrew Gross.
All right, if Gross is
hearing Grabner has been traded to the Devils. Wow, Darren Dreger's. Somebody said for Adam Larson ? I'll tell you, if that's true,
Grabner.
if that's true, Grabner to Devils for a second round pick and Rykov. Wow, the Devils made a trade with the Rangers. What?
I know. That's
Are
weird.
we in the upside
That's
down
weird.
right now?
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta assume then, if we're bringing in a forward,
there's your scoring.
we may
help.
be shipping out. Well, there's your scoring help, but now are we going to ship someone out, or maybe there's the prognosis on Johansson is not as good. So who knows?
That's probably true too. Second concussion and how in how many months they might be putting him on the shelf for the rest of the year.
They could be.
He might just be out for a lot longer. But man, that's pretty wild. That's pretty wild.
That's
I gotta say,
news.
like
that's
Devils.
That's the Let's Go Devils podcast. Breaking news on the Let's Go Devils podcast. The most commented podcast now has breaking news. We need a new graphic there, Ghost of Samu, for breaking news.
Yeah, breaking it. Wow, that's crazy.
Or like when Tortorella was fired with that what happened with
turn on my
the
microphone.
former right now. I disliked that guy immensely.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm working on some new audio and some graphics on the fly, guys. On the fly.
On the fly.
So, Mr. On the Fly, can you also, or unfortunately, my phone is almost dead. Can anybody look up how many years Grabner has? Is he still on a 1-year contract with the Rangers, or does he have years under his belt that they're going to be able to lock him up for, or is this a quick one and done? He also joins an elite company, being a former Islander, Ranger, and now Devil.
So he's played in the entire metropolitan area. All he needs to do is play for Buffalo, and he's got it all.
And he's joins the likes of John Van Beesbrook, Kevin Weeks, P.A. Parento, a couple other guys that played for all three.
All right, so I'm trying to find out.
Don't forget about Aaron Asham. I mean, that guy was
yes,
the ice.
You're right.
All right,
It was terrible for us, but great for everybody else.
So Grabner, 30 years old, signed through. Now this was his cap hit with the Rangers. Signed through 2017-18, so this season. UFA 2018-19.
All right, so he's a UFA at the end of the year.
Yep. So is he a rental, or are we gonna try to re-sign him? I mean, we got to see how he does with us.
I feel bad for the guy, kind of like bounces around, but he's a speedy player. He fits the mold of the team. You know what I mean? So he can be plugged into that second line. It's interesting. Damn, that's crazy. Just talking about it 2 minutes ago, and all of a sudden something pops off like that.
Well, I think there's something with the we got about 18 minutes left. We need to discuss Saturday, Elias night.
Yes, I'm so pumped.
I know.
I am so pumped.
It's going to be such a good time.
You
are going.
The three of us have to.
I'm going.
I am
going.
Definitely.
Yeah, the three of us are there. Yeah.
We should definitely meet up at some point. Yes, agreed.
There we go. We're great minds think alike, and we're getting the same thing out at the same time. I'm excited for it. It was great to see him be interviewed tonight. I know he was at the game tonight, dropped the puck. He's going to join the other four up in the rafters, rightfully so.
The first forward, yep. The first forward up there.
First forward up there. I'm pretty pumped. I'm going to continue my collection of mini banners. I will now have the 5th mini banner, which is awesome. I was afraid that maybe they were going to change it up and force us into buying it or buying them on eBay. It's going to be a great night. You know, starting, I believe ceremony is 6:15. They want everyone in there by 6. It's definitely one of those games you got to get in early. And I think the start time for the game has been pushed back to 8. So, it's going to be a good long, this is going to be a good long ceremony. I'm excited to see another banner get raised. I've been there for all of them so far. And this one was no exception. I wasn't going to miss this one. 100%. 26 needed to be up there.
Yep.
My only gripe with the game is the opponent.
Yeah, I agree. It should have been.
We should not have these games against local rivals because there's going to be Islander fans in that building, and maybe it's an Islander. Maybe there are Islander fans, but it should be all and only Devils fans in that building for Saturday.
And I have a good feeling.
And I think they did this. They may have done this for the Brodeur one too. I can't remember who the opponent was. There's no need to have a game of this magnitude against someone local at all.
No, I agree. And I have to say, Patty being my favorite player, I have like most of my jerseys that I have, which I have a lot of jerseys. I'd say I have 4 of them that are Elias jerseys and different types of jerseys and stuff like that. So I'm pretty excited about it. And I might shed a tear here and there because it's crazy to think, all these guys that we grew up watching are now either up in the rafters or long gone since played, and
yeah,
he's like the last little bit of remaining of the last championship in 2003. And that was it. And it's just wild. It's wild to see. And I think it's going to be an electric atmosphere, and hopefully it'll give the team a little boost and they'll go out there and play lights out. And
yeah, that'll be nice.
I'm really excited.
I'm really excited too. And I want to see us get, a win on such a big night for the franchise. Maybe be that kick to, pushing the rest of the way and get into the playoffs. These nights are always special, and it's they don't come up, and they shouldn't come up often. You don't need to be retiring unless you have a team of just front to back that just are lights out. You just have this group, which we had that group with the 4 that are there already. But you definitely numbers shouldn't be retired often, and it's always special to see it. And I don't know if we're going to see one for a while after this one. Everyone will throw out a couple names here and there, but I don't know if
Sergei Brylin. Sergei Brylin's number should have been retired. He's
on
all 3 cup teams. Pivotal role player.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He's a role player, and that's why I've heard that before, and I don't disagree. But other than that, there's not going to be.
Maybe Johnny McLean could have retired. See, if they were like the Rangers, they would have retired. They would have retired Brylin. They would have retired McLean. You know what I mean? But I mean, and that was something that Lou always stressed, was he only wanted to retire numbers and felt like they were for a reason, like special reasons, or because they were who they were. Niedermayer, extremely deserving. Stevens, obviously. Danico, obviously. And Brody, obviously. So it was always these obvious choices. And I think Elias fits that mold too, like as an obvious choice for his number to be retired. Yes. Both on and off the ice, was a Devil his entire career, carried himself like a true champion, a true gentleman on and off the ice. And, I always think that he got jobbed out of the captaincy. I think he should have remained the captain. When Sutter took that away from him, or Sutter took that away from him, I thought that was like such a D-bag move. And I don't know. I was always very bitter about that. But
just I've got to say this. It almost like he wasn't. I don't want to say he wasn't fit for the role, but not everyone is captain material just because they're a top player. It just may not have been within his personality. We don't see what goes on in the locker room, so we don't know. Maybe it just wasn't. Maybe he may seem like the natural choice for the captain, but it just may not have been his personality. Just may not have been good for the role. He was a Devil. through and through. But just because they're the top player in the team doesn't automatically mean that they're the, captain, automatically should be the captain. So I understand that, with the frustration with that, but I always thought that maybe it just wasn't him. Maybe that wasn't his, it just may not have fit his personality.
No, I agree. Yeah, but at the same time, like, you heard stories that he was like not happy about that it pissed him off that they took that away from him, or he took it away from him. But all that aside, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be an electric night. I have to just comment on this because I was looking at our Facebook group, and Robert said Amanda Kessel is better than Phil Kessel. I'm one of those. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, but at the same time, I'm such a huge Phil Kessel fan because he looks like a dude that would either be on the ice playing hockey, or you go into a bar and you're like, "Hey, who's that fat guy in the corner stool?" And you're like, "Oh, that's Phil Kessel." Like, like he looks like a regular dude. You know what I mean? He looks so unathletic, and he's out there and he does, he's so good. And you're like, man, this guy's he's just like a regular Joe. I always said I wish the Devils would have made a run at Phil Kessel when he was in Toronto. And you could see what he's doing in Pittsburgh. But I mean, yeah, that was really funny. Amanda Kessel better than Phil Kessel. That's pretty amazing. Imagine having two kids, like your son's a Stanley Cup champion and your daughter's a gold medal.
That's crazy. Yeah, I know. That's just crazy. I mean, Phil Kessel is definitely going to be that guy that's just going to be playing beer league hockey for the rest of his life. He's going to be that ringer that he's going to be the ringer that everyone hates seeing on the other team, but you love having on your team. And he's probably going to throw a few back before he plays because he can.
Yeah, dude, it's so funny because like I just texted my brother. I'm like, hey, the Devils got Grabner from the Rags, and he's just like, what? He's like, nothing's sacred anymore. He said, I bet he wears something crazy like 88 or something like that. But
oh man.
But yeah, Phil Kessel would totally be that dude that pounds the 6-pack out on the ice as he's playing in a beer league game. And I absolutely love Phil Kessel. I really wish he was a Devil.
Yeah. He's he would have been great to have. But unfortunately, we didn't go for him. So he's not ours. But back to Saturday. It's definitely going to be sold out. It is sold out, I would assume. I know they had all those package deals where you could still get into the tickets.
Even all the merchandise is sold out.
Oh, yeah. We heard that today. That,
Yep.
Yeah. That merchandise, and I went down on the Brodeur night just to see what was left in the Devil's Den, and it was like not much. But the hats they had, I picked one up, and it's been one of my favorite hats since then. If I can get an Eliash one, we'll do the same. But everyone's going nuts over this merch. It's I don't know. I can go here or there. It's because what am I going to do? Buy it and put it on my shelf and look at it? Everyone's probably just trying to buy it to flip it.
Soon enough, within the next podcast, this whole background is going to be changed because I'm going to be my office downstairs should be finished.
Sweet.
And I have like a bunch of little things. I have like a bunch of signed pucks and bobbleheads and all these things. And I was looking at it before, and I'm like, do I really need all these things? Like, what the hell am I going to do with it? Like, the pucks are cool because they're signed, but I'm like, do I really need all these little bobbleheads in my life? Like.
Exactly.
And then my answer is always yes, I do. I mean, let's be real.
I'm going to be honest. I thought the dumbest thing from the Brodeur retirement night were the acrylic pucks filled with the, whatever the melted ice from that night. I thought that was the dumbest piece of memorabilia that they were selling for $50. Yeah, for $50, it was the dumbest thing. However, when it went down to $25, I said, well, it's not so dumb anymore. And I actually bought it for $25. Because, at $25, I was like, you know what?
Did you crack it open and have a sip of it? Or
I did not know. I did not. There's a little disclaimer on the puck saying that it's treated water. So I don't want to ingest any of that.
But it won't kill you.
I found it. I found it as to be the dumbest thing until it was 50% off, and I was like, oh, yeah, I'll buy it.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't go wrong for $25 in free shipping.
My biggest beef with all those like little giveaways is like the bobbleheads usually look nothing like the player, and it's like you look at them and you're like, what generic ass head did they use to make this bobblehead? But Saturday it'll be cool. We'll get the little banner.
That's really all I care about. Saturday's getting the banner. That's all I care about getting.
And they're going to bring out a couple of surprise guests. You got to think that if Marty can't be in Marty's got to be in the building, right? Marty's going to be in the building, and I heard Scott Stevens is going to be in the building.
Yeah, and I know they're Danico.
Danico will be there, and the A line's going to be there because I already saw a video with
yeah, they had the Q&A last night.
Yep. So they're going to be there, and
Vladimir Malakoff is going to be there as well.
He better.
No, he's out somewhere skiing. He's skiing somewhere.
Probably. But it'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Man, I can't believe the Devils traded with the Rangers. That's so weird.
I know. It feels like it shouldn't be. They definitely should not trade with the Rangers. At least we didn't send anyone there so far. Well, except for no one's significant right now, let's say.
Tom Galletti, who used to be the beat writer for the Record for the Devils.
Yep.
The Fire and Ice, if you guys are all aware of that, but he wrote it was Lou Lamoriello just got a shiver down his spine and he doesn't know why.
Yeah. He hated the Rangers.
Oh God, good. Like that's why I love Lou so much. And you know what though? Good for Ray. Good for Ray to break the mold of being like, you know what, the Rangers are so far out of it. Who cares? Like Grabner's a good player. He's a goal scorer. He's what the Devils need right now. You know what I mean? They need a little. They just put somebody into the lineup that's going to help. Put it that way.
Yeah, but it's still the Rangers.
Yeah, but we're getting someone. Imagine if we go deep into the playoffs with a player that we got from the Rangers.
It would burn Ranger fans so badly.
Oh God! And that second round pick that we gave them turns into a bust.
The Rangers are good at picking busts.
Yeah, exactly.
They're so good at picking busts. Oh man. Well, you know what? I guess this means the Devils this may be premature. Maybe this is just the start, or maybe this is all the Devils are going to do. So the trade deadline may be something to watch for.
Or do they package up Travis Zajac and somebody else and go after Trouba in Winnipeg?
Zajac is movable, especially going to Winnipeg. He is absolutely movable.
Well, he has a no trade, but I think, and I'm not saying I want to trade Travis. I understand completely. Well, I don't, because it's never happened to me and I'm not a professional athlete, but it can't be easy getting traded. You know, it can't be easy being in a place for a long time. Then like what happened to Adam Henrique and getting shipped off somewhere else and having to basically start your life all over again in certain aspects. So I never wish to see any of our players get traded away. You know, it kind of gets easy for us to say like, oh, move this guy, move that guy. But, you know, in reality, it's nice to see who we have. And I thoroughly appreciate everybody. But with that disclaimer said, if they traded him out to Winnipeg, it would make sense because that would probably be a place that he would want to go to.
Yeah, that's not really starting over for him. That's home.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's all pipe dream, but because I doubt they would move Trouba, even though he was like miserable there. And, you know, they just signed him to like an extension last year.
Yeah. And it's, you know, it's not our money to spend. And it's, I've taken since that summer that it was like the big deal is Kovalchuk going to resign or whatever. I was so bugged. I know it was. However, I learned something from that summer. I was all bugged out. Are they going to sign him? And I was like bugging out. And finally, at one point, I was like, why am I worrying about a guy to sign a multi-million-dollar contract? It has no effect on my life whatsoever. Yeah, the Devils would benefit from it, and yeah, that would impact my life. But in the grand scheme of things, it's like if he didn't sign with the Devils, the sun was still going to come up the next day. It was still going to go down at the same time, and I was going to, continue existing. So since then, I've taken a very just kind of like, you know what? If they get traded, they get traded. If they don't, they don't. It's just I have not got hung up on any kind of player transaction for any of my teams since that summer in Kovalchuk, since I had the little revelation of like, why am I caring so much? Not to say that I don't care.
I wish I could say the same. I still get I'm like
and this is not to say that I don't care, because I do care and I want the Devils to do well. I want them, to bring in people. It's just that I don't know. I guess maybe it's that attachment or that I don't know. It's out of my control. Yeah, well, I'm now detached from the situation. It's out of my control. I can't control it. If I stress over this, it's not going to change it either way. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. If it's not, it's not. So I think that's really what I got from it, was like, why stress over it? Because who knows what's going to happen if he, it was probably the best thing to happen.
I got to tell you and I know we're bumping up against it, but I mean, like, in all honesty, there's a part of me where I'm like, why do I get so affected by games, and why do I get so upset over losses and so happy over wins? And it's like, why do I let sports control my emotions so much? And then I don't know, like, none of it makes sense. I'm superstitious as all can be. Like, something good happens, I'm like, oh, I held my cup in the right hand when when they scored a goal. Now I have to keep it in my right hand the entire time.
Yeah, no, I'm the.
If something bad happens, I'm like, I must have done something in the universe to make this happen. It doesn't make any sense.
It definitely makes no sense, and for me, it's the same way. And for my two teams, it's actually in two different stratospheres of caring, and I love both teams, but it just seems like both teams affect me so differently. And there's just the same thing. It's like, I'm so affected by a loss. I'm so affected by a win. It's just sports. That's sports. That's competitive nature. And I've got friends that don't give a care about sports, and they don't understand any of it. Like, why do you care so much? And it's so hard to explain to a non-sports person why you are more than willing to drop all this money to travel, to put your life around going to games, and why do you put your life around watching games? They just don't get it.
In all honesty, sometimes I don't even get it. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm the same way.
Because my wife will ask me sometimes. She'll be like, "Why? Like, it's just a game. It's just a game. Like, why are you so mad?" And my response is usually like, "Oh, you just don't get it." And then I'll walk away and I'll be like, "I don't even know if I get it." You know what I mean? Like, but it's true. There's sometimes some part of me that I'm like, why? I can never wrap my head around it. Like, why do I get so? Because I'll get pissed. Like, if I'll never forget the Devils losing to Carolina in the playoffs, where they were on their way to win.
Miserable.
And I remember looking,
90 seconds. 90 seconds.
They're going to play the Capitals in the next round, and we're talking about matchups and all these different things. And as Boomer Esiason says, I touched the money, and I was like confident that everything was going to go fine. And then all hell broke loose, and we know what happened after that. And I've never been so physically angry after a game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I remember I lived in Philadelphia, and I lived up on the 23rd floor of this building, and I had on the top floor, and I had this balcony. There's an alley right below me. I took a beer bottle, and I just like chucked down into the alley, and I was screaming at the top of my lungs. And looking back,
you're lucky you weren't. You're lucky you weren't there. Being there was
at the game
miserable.
Oh my God,
that was miserable. And probably the only thing that was more miserable for me for the Devils was being there, Game 6 in 2001 in the finals. Like there it was. It was right there. Everything. It was in the building, and they lost. And then they went on to lose the next night. It was like, oh, come on.
Yeah, that one was brutal.
Oh,
I remember trying to tell myself for the longest time, like, hey, man, it's okay. Ray Bork finally got his Stanley Cup. And that was
I couldn't even do that.
That was the way I coped
justify
with it.
that. I couldn't even justify that. He beat my team. You know what?
Yeah.
Screw off. I couldn't even justify it. And I still can't. Like, I'm glad he won the cup, but as far as I'm concerned, he won a cup. I don't know who he won it against. I also, when we lost to the Kings, I immediately turned the TV off, and I did not watch that cup get raised in 2012. Actually, I still may have never seen the cup raised from 2012. It just affects you. It's just so crazy. And I know it's not the Devils, but the Red Bulls got eliminated from the playoffs. I think it was 2 years ago, and I'm on the field cleaning up, our banners and stuff, and someone interviewed me and asked me about how I felt about the series and stuff like that. And I was in such a haze from them losing. Totally forgot I got interviewed until like 7-8 months later. I'm watching a video and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. That guy asked me a question. There it is. Totally forgot. I was just so bummed out that we lost. I was in like a haze.
Yeah. And at the same time, like
that's what sports does.
The thrill of victory and seeing games that are like being in 2012, being at Game 6 against the Rangers and watching them beat the Rangers in the Rock, dude. I've been to like Stanley Cup games and I've been to big games before, but that game still to this day, like I look back at all the big sporting events in my life and I'm like, that was the most elated I've ever been in my entire life. Outside of meeting my wife and getting married and having children, like all that's in a different category. That's in like a different atmosphere. Sports world, that I've never felt that high before. Like the whole place shook. I've never felt something like that where the whole place was shaking. And I remember just like I filmed it on my phone and I just couldn't believe it. And we're screaming and yelling. It was the best. That was insane.
I know. And it comes down to local pride. And I think that's why we care so much, because these are our local teams and we have it's local pride, especially that night above all else against the blue rivals from across the river.
Yeah, the old Rags.
Who we got a player from tonight? Welcome, Grabner. Grabner, welcome to the New Jersey Devils.
So what number do you think he's going to wear? He can't wear 40. Can't wear 40. That's Coleman's number.
Yeah. Unless Coleman gives it up. Player's been known to do that.
Yeah. I don't
possible.
think so. I don't think Coleman will give it up.
Well, we'll find out.
Maybe you'll wear like Richier's old number, 44.
Could. I guess we'll find out for warm-ups on Saturday for Eliash night. So we'll find out Saturday. Do that.
Hey, boys, we need to find a way to get together. Maybe we can find a place and post it. Meet and greet a few of our fans out there. But we'll talk about that on Saturday.
Idea. Yeah, I like that idea. Let's try to figure something out.
Yeah, come on out.
There he is.
Have a brew with us.
Yeah, you know what? Anyone in the group that is listening, we'll start a thread, but let's all, let's everyone post, if they're going Saturday and where your seats are and all that stuff. Maybe we can set something up, maybe before, maybe even after, because, traffic's going to be insanity getting out of there, so may as well have a beer afterwards. So that may be the best bet. Maybe beer afterwards, since it's going to be insane traffic getting out of there.
Yeah. Hey, I gotta say, it's pretty wild. My brother's actually flying in from Seattle just to see this game, so I'm pretty pumped about this.
Friend of ours, Robbie, is flying up from North Carolina, so
nice.
It'll be a good time. So we'll post in the group. We'll try to get something set up for Saturday, and let's hope this slide stops at Saturday. And let's hope we stop having these little mini slides, because you have a mini slide like this in the playoffs, forget it.
Yep.
So, well, the music's getting louder. I think Sam is trying to kick us off.
All right, Sammy, we get the hint.
All right, Sam, we're getting out of here. Beer Baron, it's been fun. The podcast has been fun. The game hasn't been fun, but hey, let's hope for a better Saturday.
Exactly.
So, Sam Wu, any last thoughts? No appearance. All right. I guess I'll end this. So, until next time, let's go Devils.